Everybody. Gonna do the section 3 of the music theory thing. It's basically just about using the major, like the main, four chords in a key and how to use those, or just how they're kind of like the basics of everything, and then how to follow a tone to build chord progressions, and also maybe a couple notes about how to interchange some chords for others using the relative minors, and we'll just kind of take a look at how those things sound. So, hope you enjoy. Okay. So section 3, I'm going to say tone sometimes, or a pitch, or note. A note can be a unit of measure or length as well, but when I say that in these sections, I'm really just talking about the pitch. So following a pitch or a tone, like a tone or a pitch would be like the pitch of C, or the note that's C, D, E. Anyway, hope you get what I mean by that. But those kind of three words for this section will be interchangeable. So in the previous section, referred to the one chord as the home base for the key. It's also in the observations that the 4 chord and the 6 minor key chords have the root, the 1 of the key. So C, in the key of C, or a C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, these 3 chords, the 1, the 4, and the 6 minor, all have a C in them as one of their 1, 3, 5s. So they sound great together. They're all. You can kind of go in any order from any of those. Like there might be some things that you start to pick up that are unique about each one, and you might want this one then and another one not. But anyway, we also noted that the 5 chord, it's a major, so it sounds kind of happy, so it's also common to play. So these 4 chords, the 1, the 4, the 5, and the 6 minor, are the majority in the bulk of Western pop music or contemporary worship music. But we did make a note that this 5 chord, the third of the 5, so in the key of C, it'd be G, B, D. The third right there is 1/2 step below the root. So it's going to sound like it's falling, or in the reverse order, if you go from the 5 to the 1, it sounds like it steps up. So it's a great transition chord. You don't have to, I've put it here, a little note that use the 5 as a transition between any of these. That's true, but it's not like you have to go 1, 5, 4, 5, 6, 5, 1. You can go in any order, but just start to make a note of that 5 chord. It really does have like a drop or a lift feel if you're going to and from it, respectively. But here's some ways in which you can make that work for you. So just doing like, just going to go back and forth. I'm going to maybe call them out, but C, G, or C, F, sorry. C, then to the G. That's a C suspended, but that's okay. And then back to D, or C, to the G. 6 minor, A minor. Yeah, so you can make a lot of good things with that, but just kind of play around with those and see what happens with it. Get creative there. One other thing to make note of is these. Usually the phrases. And by say a phrase, I just mean like measures. Usually we're doing groups of 4, not always, but most of the time. So like, for example, I might go C for one measure, C, 2, 3, and then to the F, 2, that's the second measure, and the 6 minor for the third, 2, 3, 4, and then the last measure, do the 5, 2, 3, and then it's going to sound like we return home. So that's a common way to do it. Just play around with that and see what you come up with. But anyway, we'll move down a little bit here to following a tone to build a chord progression. So starting with an easy one, we'll just do this like little walk-up with C to D to E. So I think C was or So if we have these tones of one thing you can do is if you're, again, like if you're starting to find a melody that you like, that you're trying to write a song to, or there's a song that you like, you're just trying to see how to do some other things with it, maybe make some different chords, other sounds to spice it up or remix it or whatever you want to call it. This is like the science behind what's going on. So obviously, I think in the previous sections, which I don't have with me, but in the previous sections, we saw that the C chord, when we build these out, the C chord had C, E, G. The F chord had F, A, C, and the A minor chord had A, C, E. Okay, so all of those have the C in it. Okay, so that's an easy way to determine, okay, any chord that has a C in it, I can use any of those chords. Okay, so for the D chord, or for a D tone, the D minor had D, F, and A. The G chord had G, B, D. So all those have a D in it. So there's no other, just using the 1s, 3s, 5s, and not adding any other pieces into that. Those are the only chords that contain the tone or the pitch, the note of D. Same thing with E. Obviously, you can see two of them that we had here, C and E minor, but also E minor had the E in it. So there's, if you know math, there's 3, 2, 3. Just to make 3 chords in a row, there's actually 3 times 2 times 3, which would be 3 times 2 is 6, times 3 is 18. There's 18 different ways you can make a chord progression to go from C to D to E. So there's a lot of things you can do with this, and there's some possible ones here. So I just kind of laid it out, like if starting with C, what's the next one you could do? And I didn't make them all. I think I only went to like 10 or 11. But you know, you might look at some of these ones that have the big 4, the main 4 chords, the C, which is the 1, the 5, which is the G, the 6 minor, which is the A minor, and the 4. So I put a star beside any of the ones, any of the chord progressions, and on the other side, page 15, page 16 rather, we have some other ones. I put all the ones that had the main 4 chords in there so you could, or put a star next to them so you could see them. But let's just take a look at how those sound, and you'll see that they sound pretty normal, pretty poppy, pretty what you're normal, what you're used to. Okay, so the C, or I guess it would be, I'm going to sing that da da da. All right, so I'm going to start with progression 3. Da, sounds great, right? Let's go down to progression 6 there, F, G, C. So I'm going to be doing da, got a little off there. Sound great. I might start finger picking them so that it doesn't overwhelm the sound. There's a couple others that I had up here that we could try. I'm going to go to progression 8, that one. So again, instead of the 1, we go to Okay, I might do the progression 11. And you can see how this F chord, it can stand alone, and it could end there, whereas a lot of the other ones don't feel like you can end there. But anyway, we have one more. Oh, that one shouldn't be there. I can't have an F there. No wonder. That one sounded bad because C is not in this chord anywhere. Not there. So that's why that one sounds bad. I don't know why I had F in there. That was dumb. But anyway, maybe try progression 10. Sounds great. So maybe we can go outside the lanes a little bit and see what happens. That one, I don't know why I have those in there. That was a dumb choice. You can't do that. Especially E. E up against an F is going to be a half step difference, so it's going to sound really dissonant. So not so good unless you jump off of it real quick. But let me try that progression 7. We have an E minor, which is not super normal. So I guess I shouldn't have done the 7. So that one's fun. It sounds a little wild, a little off, a little different. Let's go back to this page. I might try this, get one with the D minor in there. Like progression 1. Oh, these have 2 that are not the main 4. So let's see how this one sounds. Yeah. I've got a weird tuning going on here, so I'm trying my best to do it right, but you can get the idea. Some of them sound just a little bit outside the lane. I might go to this progression 4 with only the 1 that's outside. Only the D minor is outside the norm. That one sounded pretty good too. So that's the science. Here's the science behind the chords. Now the art is what sounds good and what doesn't. Like one thing to consider when you're looking at this is like the bass line. Without doing any slash chords where we haven't really covered any of that, but a slash chord would be like playing one of these other notes in the chord as the bass line or as the lowest root you can have. And it does change the feel and the sound just a little bit, although it's the same chord. But just looking at the non-slash chords where we just have the root of the chord is, the name of the chord is the lowest note of the chord. So you can kind of see what's happening here. We're going up a step, and then we actually skipped the A and the B and went to C. So, that's fine. One chord progression that looks kind of fun that I'm looking at, or that I'm thinking of, is this one. Even though our tone that we're following, our pitch, is basically the bass line or the root note, you still have this nice little increase. You're going up a step each for the bass line, the lowest note in the chord. So that kind of has its own feel. You might also be able to go like backwards. See how this one's kind of going down. We went from, well, that's not true. All right, let's turn the page and see what happens here. I'm looking at, this one's kind of fun. So these are not the tones that we're following. We're following the tones of C, D, and E, or the pitches, the notes there. But those are going up a step each, but the bass line also went up a step each here. F to G is a step, G to A minor is a step. So that one actually might be pretty clever. I'll go ahead and give that one a rip. I know we did it just a minute ago. But sounds great. Now this one I'm going to take a note of. I like this one artistically, because, or sort of like theoretically, because one thing we could do with the G chord, it is a G and a B and a D. One thing that is somewhat common is taking the third of the chord and making it the slash chord. So G over B, which basically just means that B is the lowest note. And if I do that, so I'd be like, so a normal G would be, and it'd sound like, But if I put the third in the lowest note, the third in the bass line, in other words, I get this half a step down. So check this out. We'll do it all together. Or one more time. So you get this, the bass line, or one thing that the ear is hearing is this step down from the bass. Dun, dun, dun. But the melody's going dun, dun, dun. So the melody and the bass line are diverging. They're going, they're just following this scale in opposite directions. So I think, I did actually backwards. The one I just demonstrated was C, G over B, and A minor. Oops. But this one, I'll play this. Sorry. So that's the one I just did. So it actually, the tones that we're following and the bass line went different directions in the major scale, which is kind of fun. And it had a good sound to it. This one, it does walk up the scale, just like this one does, but they're on different notes. The bass line and the melody are on different notes. So here's how that one would sound. One more time. Sounds great. But sometimes it's fun to do some diverging things where one part of the music is doing one thing and the other is doing a different thing, but similar. So I think if I was going to choose this, that might be fun for me to go with that direction. But yeah, here's another one where that walks up. I think we might have had that. Nope, we didn't. This one's one where the bass line walks up a step each too, so that one could be fun. Yeah, so again, just the big thing about this so far is the most normal sounding pop normal for our pop music or our Western contemporary music. The most common things you're going to have is the 1, the 4, the 5, and those are all major chords, and the 6 minor. And those are going to be the most of the bulk of what you're going to play in a song. So the other thing you could do, I should have maybe thrown this in there, is that your relative minor is a very similar chord to the F. So one thing we could consider with the relative minor is like the relative minor is always a step and a half down. So from F back a half a step is E, back a whole step is D. So what if we instead tried D minor here? Now, D minor, the D minor chord is D, E, D, F, A. Does not have a C in it, but makes me wonder if that might work. So let's try that real quick and see. Just the relative minors and seeing what they do. So instead of we would have doesn't sound super great, but that one didn't work quite well. But sometimes you can do that, especially if if this here was if this was an F instead. But anyway, we'll move on. I'll just make some notes on this. Again, like A, if your tone is an A, the only chords, going back to your other music theory sheet that we did on page 8. On page 8, we did a bunch of our, actually, I guess it was farther than that, wasn't it? Oh, great TV going on here. All right, here was page 12, was our C chords that we did. Okay, so the only ones that have an A in it would be D minor, D minor, F major, and A minor. So D minor, F, and A minor. The only ones that have a B in it were G, the G chord, and the E minor chord for B. Oops, hit the mic. E minor and G. And then we got, also for the C, we had those same ones, so that we did before, C, F, and A minor. So again, like if you're going to choose the main 4 chords, your only option for the main 4 on a B note would be G. But we could just try A minor, G, C. Now I like this one because even though it's a step down, again, we have this third that is the B. So in terms of the center, in terms of the tone, you've got the root note there, this one's the third, and this one's the root note, but you do have this sense of walking up, and I think you'll kind of see that as I play it. So that's the tones. A, B, C. So it would be on the chords, A, B, C. Sounds awesome. If I went all majors, I could say F, G, C, or F, G, F. I could do F, G, F, but sometimes that's a little boring. Here's F, G, C. That's the tones. Sounds awesome. Sounds great. Sounds very normal. Let's step outside of it a little bit, and we'll do an abnormal, unusual chord. Let's go D minor. And maybe let's keep it all minors and see what happens. This could be fun. And again, that one is a little strange. So it would be okay, so it sounds great. It matches. It's just a little outside the norm with the chord progression. Here's the chord progression. I probably shouldn't have done that. A little bit interesting, but okay. Yeah, so I think, one thing we might try, I'm going to try to get a little artistic maybe here with it, or if I can. We have this is going up. So maybe if I'm going to try to step outside the main 4 chords, here we have, there's really not a good way to step down from here other than just going to C. But let's try this. I've got like a baseline step down. Now I'm skipping the D if you're talking about just going straight down the scale. But that's the only way to go down while the melody's going up, like as much as we can with the chords that we've got there. So let's give that one a shot. Oh, wrong one. Now I would say that this chord going from E minor to the C doesn't sound great, but that's all right. Here's another one I might try. Again, and I'm kind of just looking at, if this one's going up, then why don't I try to find one that falls down? So how about A minor, G, and F? That falls, the bass line falls straight down the scale, A to G to F. That's a step down each. This is going up the major scale, just a note each. So let's try that and see what that sounds like. Oh. Yeah. Kind of missed the root there, but that sounds great. I kind of like that. So just a thought, some things to try. You never know what you might find that you like. Yeah, I think I'm going to pause there on this part of the conversation. There is such a thing as jumping outside of the key, and there's some reasons why you might do that, just to maybe make it interesting. But if this conversation is just going to stick to the 1, the 3, and the 5 of the chords, right? No sevens, suspendeds, nothing like that. So anyway, I don't know. I'm going to give you an example of this Hope's Anthem. And I might just have to play this on the piano because my tuning is so weird there. Okay, so Hope's Anthem, if you've never heard it before, it's my hope is in you, God. I am steadfast, I will not be moved. Okay, so it kind of has this my hope is in you, God. I am steadfast, I will not be moved. Hopefully you could hear that from the mic. I was a little farther away. But it follows this tone of my hope. That's a lot. Hope is in you, God. My steadfast, I will not be moved. Now it goes down, but that's just making it easy. Okay, so here's some. If we're in the key of C, which that song is, the tones, the pitch, the note of E, chords that have E in it would be A minor, E minor, and C. But they chose to go with the root to start off the phrase. That's a very common thing to do because it's home base. And what they did was they said, okay, what other chords have the tone or the pitch, the note of F in it? And so instead of FAC or DFA, F major or D minor, they went with one that's outside of the key. And they said, well, a B flat major chord, majors are happy, so maybe we try that and just see what happens there. So they did this B flat major chord, and it had that nice sound to it. My hope is in you, God. I am steadfast, I will not be moved. Okay, great. And then these other tones, other chords, are from the key of C. So it's kind of this nice little deal. As you see, also, they're kind of stepping down. And they made a big jump here. Instead of just going to like the F, they went to a D minor. I was playing F. Oops. They went to a D minor, which kind of has a nice little, also another unsettling deal. But that D goes straight down to the C. So they're kind of going, okay, normal chord, jumping out a little bit, definitely out of the key. And then they're going back to sort of a normal one. It's like a step down. In terms of the chromatic scale, so that's kind of cool. And then they're going way down, but it's also a little outside of the norm because it's not one of the main four chords. So I think this one's kind of a brilliant chord progression there, just in terms of the theory. Here's another one that we did at our old church a lot. Our God is Here. Where it's this is the pre-chorus. Rejoice, all you people, if His mercy makes you sing. So the bass line. I guess it was doing the third. So rejoice, all you people, if His mercy makes you sing. So there was this step up of, and then it hit the fourth. So that's kind of the tones, but I kind of was thinking, well, what if you just went and then went up the scale? So that's a B, C, and what if we just went up for the next chord? King. So maybe instead of the way it was before, where it's like A minor, all you, G over B, and then C, F. The next round we went A minor, G over B, in the C, and then E, D. Presence of your King. Kind of a nice little sound there. Our God is here. So there's ways to do it, and there's not always hard and steadfast rules, but this tone we were following was the bass line. So the bass line was going A, B, C. So we did an A minor, G over B, and C. And we went to a F in the previous phrase. But at the end, to kind of give like a little unsettling moment, we did the D there, and it kind of prepares you for the chorus. So that just artistically speaking, it kind of throws you off a little bit. So if I were to say, or do that phrase again, So this is the pre-chorus. So we're going, and rejoice, all you people, if his mercy makes you sing. Oh, rejoice as one people in the, here's the jump, lines of your King. Kind of nice. Our God is here, our God is here. Yeah, so it kind of like, the farther outside of the norm you go, which the main 4 chords are like the normal. The farther outside of that you go, the more like unsettling, I guess it seems. And there's people that will refer to the circle of fifths with that a little bit too. But no, it's whatever. Yeah, the farther outside the norm you go, the more unsettled it makes the emotion is. So if you can step outside of that and step back into normal, it's kind of a nice tool to use. So that's following tones into a non-diatonic. That's another vocabulary word, I guess. Just means inside the key. So one thing you can try is finding whatever tone you're using and see if you can do another chord that's outside of the key that might work. So yeah, again, this is some of the science behind the art, but the art really is what sounds good, what kind of achieves the emotional moment that you're going after, for the words of the song, or for the feel of the song, or for what your ear wants to hear. So I think I'll wrap up section 3 with that.